It was like, I guess, a rich land and a poor area. Because I happened to come out of a neighborhood, the only people in my neighborhood was family. First cousins, uncle, aunts, and we had two unsegregated people. Now, one of them was Mike Douglas, and the other one was Winford Day. And the rest it was all our neighborhood. And it made it tough for a kid because you had to learn to get it right quick. Because up the road counted back then.
Yeah.
And if mama got some embarrassing news, ooh, man, you done committed a serious crime there, because that's all we had back then, a good name. And that meant a lot. Because wealth wasn't one of them. We had gardens, and we shared pigs, hogs, corn, peas, whatever the neighbor had, we had. So that's the kind of growing up we had. And we made it to school age, and I tease the grown people here today that went to public schools up here at Tivoli, the predominantly black school up here. We had a private school down there called Chapel Hill with the tuition paid. And our students our teachers was out of our neighborhood, and we learned those values real quick. And if you made a bad grade back then, oh boy, here we go again. You ain't paying attention, you managed, or something went wrong. And it got corrected quickly at the house. And it wasn't none of this new stuff. The teacher didn't like me, she didn't like my mama. It was all about being an adult. You there to learn, not to critique nobody. And so we learned at an early age, and it grows up in you being a man. Leadership is what it is. It ain't a perfect art, but it is what it is. So we went through school with that. You know, we had summer school programs. We had something to occupy our time. This guy, Mr. Wilkerson, was from Red Bay. He was our principal. He was everything. And another important part growing up, we had this white guy that comes in, I think it was quarterly, I can't remember, but his name was Mr. Hobbs. He taught us about religious programs like Christmas. We would do the inauguration about Christ, crucifixion and all that, Easter, about the crucifixion. And we learned that, at an early age. And it was instilled in us. And it's just, I guess when they took that out of school, that took a big part out of understanding and being obedient, being disciplined, and understanding bad things happen to good people. A lot of that. You see today people run from that or think it's bad. But no, that's a great quality. And I tell people today, I own a bunch of rental property, and I own a car business 21 years. And I've never been in the bank with my parents, but I knew I had the best they had that equated to less than $1. But that was instilled in me, and it was taught to me how to handle money. Money don't come with a manager. We was taught that at a real early age. You have to be the manager of money. And it just growed up in you. And as you creeped on in school, we went to Chapel Hill, which was elementary school. We had to go to Tivoli in the 9th grade. But prior to me getting to the 9th grade, we was forced to integration. The government wanted the black schools closed. See, I never went to Chapel Hill with a white student. All our students were black, same color I was. So we didn't get to interact, understand each other. So we grew up, went to Tivoli 1 year prior to segregation, end of segregation. And we had a guy there, a real strong-natured guy, a football coach, Woodard. He was a stickler for math. He would teach math, and every Thursday he would ask you, anybody got any questions about math? We sit there, nobody said nothing. He said, well, good. I expect all of you to make 100 tomorrow. That'll be Friday. We had a quiz every Friday. And man, you talking about learning how to get math because you didn't want that butt tapped. I learned how to count backwards and forward, sideways, check it, recheck it. So, believe it or not, when we was forced to integrate, went over there, a lot of us, the black students, when we took math, I took business math at the high school, when we was forced into integration. But, lo and behold, we know that was the important thing Woodard was instilling in us. Because the old saying back then was reading, writing, and arithmetic. You had to understand that from an education standpoint. If you was going to make anything in this world, you had to expand yourself in those subjects. You had to know that at a bare minimum. And that worked for us at the high school because we could compete on a high level because we had a great understanding of the number system. Because even back then, he taught us the number system was the only perfect science we had. History and all the other subjects, English, it could be opinionated. It could be changed person to person, depending on how much educational background you had on that. Pronunciation of words, all that. But on math, 1 and 1 ain't number 2. I don't care who counted it. 2 and 2 is 4. And on. The 10 system. And once you master that, it works for me today. And some of my kids had a problem with math. And I said, man, where y'all get that from? Man, Daddy used to eat that up. And then later on, they caught on because when you teach them, yep, and it really works. But back to our experience of integration. Hello, people that we didn't know, nothing about their culture. They closed our school, Tivoli, closed the white school that was around the lake yard, Walton High School. That's where the whites went. But unfortunately, that year before we was mandated integration, some of the blacks went over there from some of the stronger teachers, said go ahead and get acclimated, learn what to expect, where you can calibrate yourself and keep up. But sad part, we had a lot of our black kids, they had to quit because they were so far behind education-wise. And believe it or not, back then, our parents couldn't help us with our homework. That's why one of the reasons they sent us to school, where you can be better off than them. So it wasn't no such thing as come home and get assistance with your homework. You better pay attention to that teacher, what she telling you, and you ask all questions right there. And we understood that. Now, they were the stickler for them report cards. You bring that report card with a D and an E, don't even ask to go nowhere. You ain't smart enough to go nowhere. So all that was instilled in them. But back to our experience in integration. I got a lot of white friends today. We fought and we laugh about the integration because it was a difficult time. Nobody knew what to expect, none of the adult people. This was a trial and error thing, like testing of a guinea pig or something. You had to wait on the results because some of us got along better than others, and some of them was taught that you didn't interact with those type people, and it was a taught culture for all of us, even some of the blacks. Don't trust the whites, all this, just depending on your background. But unfortunately, from where we come from, we were never taught hate. We put as much time in church as we did in school, because that's what Sunday was for. Sunday school and church. Mandated, wasn't no choice. Talking about, do you want to go? Get ready to go. And that works today. And I'm still following that routine today because that's what Sunday is for. And it helps me over a lot of hurdles. I don't have to go around them. I can go right over the top of them. And a lot of kids, unfortunately, they had choices. They don't go today. I don't want to make him do that. All that. Sorry for my grandkids. Mine, we got to go. We ain't smart enough not to go. So we need to go and we need to be there. But again, back to our integration. We learn that, I guess, when you don't agree with people, just get mad and fight. That's what we did. Till we learned long enough how to get along and say, man, we ain't accomplishing nothing with this thing. And we carried on, and I remember this guy, principal, Paul. He had the largest integrated school in Walton County. All the other ones were small, Paxton, Freeport. They was a little small, and I don't think some of them really had any at some point. He had the toughest job in Walton County because he didn't know. He bought the principal from Tivoli, our black school, Mr. T.P. Campbell, and Mr. Green was the other assistant. So we had 2 white principals and 1 black. Back then, with our segregated mind, we wouldn't let a white man beat, because that reminds us of slave days. So we was taught and instilled in your mind, don't let nobody beat you. You're not a slave. That mentality. So he had to deal with all that. So when it came to discipline of black kids, Mr. Campbell had to come in and oppose the discipline because it was looked at as racial if he did it. I'm not a slave. You know, all that mentality, we had to grow beyond that. But later on in life, I don't know which class you can say succeeded with that. I don't know. You have to ask somebody younger than me. I'm 70 years old, but we wasn't that class. We learned later how to accept each other. Bruce Bush, Johnny Reed, Glenn Scunion, some of them gone on. Glenn Miller turned into preacher. We fought, cut the food, Mike Campbell, best of friends after we learned the importance of not being ignorant and don't let color decide the person you are. And it changed a lot of our lives. And I know mine. I sell people vehicles now with Confederate flags on their vehicle. That don't bother me. That's just the way he was raised. I understand that. It's not offensive to me. I'm just glad my daddy didn't raise me to be that one-sided person. So I always encourage him, look at the other side. There's two sides to every good story. And we have to be mindful of that in this world we live in. If I had to pick something that would really be worse than cancer, it would be to be racist. It just eats you from the inside. It don't do much harm to the next person like you think. But boy, does it put a light on you. You can't function, you can't supervise, you can't bank, you can't do anything. You just handicap yourself because of your mentality. You don't see people as people, and that's what it is. That's what you was created to be. And God created us all equal. We all agree to that, but we'll fuss and decide who first, who second, who third. Nah. Just a gimmick of the world we live in. We all participate in this world. That's why he reminds us a lot of times, first, sometime will be last. Last, sometime will be first in this world. And you keep living, it'll come real crystal clear to you. I love to share that with people, and I couldn't tell it all in one day if I told it all. But those are the things that stick with me in the life I live. And back to Mr. Polk again. We kept on. We were so bad and disrupted back then. Black and Proud and all that, NAACP. I think he put 11 of us out, seniors. Woo! Because we took the Confederate flag. They flew the flag there, and we didn't agree with that. We took negative vibes to that. Said, no, that ain't fair. We didn't have none at Tivoli. We shouldn't have one over here. We had that mentality. But he put 11 of us out to fail as seniors. And that's what led me to Georgia, where I found my wife, the mother of my kids. But it's just a wonderful story. I wouldn't trade it for memories of nothing. And if it wouldn't happen, you wouldn't have the understanding of being different and why you can't afford to be different. Every man got a right to feel the way he feels, as long as it's not offending somebody else now. And if it's offending, if you keep it to yourself, it's still not offensive. Just don't share that. But you still got a problem with the good man, because he ain't with the bad. If it ain't good in it, he ain't part of it. And you can just take that with you in life till you die. Don't care what color, what situation. If you'll interject that, you'll be in good shape. You can't even see color because you don't know your ancestors, all of them. And it ain't all done with yet. It's just the world we live in.